Ben Fagan here with another episode of Career Cash the podcast. And on this episode, I'm joined by Matias Solari. Simply put, he's an entrepreneur, but he is so much more than that. He shares all the lessons that he's learned throughout his life, and it's an absolutely awesome conversation. Let's get to it. So we're going to dive into a lot of stuff from sports world to the business world and everything in between. So Matias, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. We just we were like recapping, and I was going through a couple of things that like identify me, or actually that I love to do and I love to share. And we were talking a lot about what connects us, and I think quite honestly, it's just doing what you love, and it's interesting because of course we are kind of like introduced to a world that we kind of had to follow a pathway, the same pathway, go to college, get a good job. And I was just sharing with you that I was kind of lost. I lost my identity while I was going through college. I wanted to be a soccer player throughout my entire childhood. And then I go into college to have like a little safe zone, maybe a little push from my parents, because of course they were scared that if I didn't make it through soccer, I wouldn't go anywhere. So I was like, okay, let's kind of find that in between. And when I was going through college, I was like, okay, now they're telling me I need to find a good job in a good company. And that was not identifying with myself. So I was like, okay, what do I do? And I always had that that thing in me that wanted to be like an entrepreneur, wanted to do like my own thing. And it was not only like, okay, I wanted to do what I'm doing right now, which is digital marketing. It was anything. Okay, if I wanted to, I don't know, sell T-shirts, I would go and find a good supplier, try to find the best price, then trying to find a target audience that actually is looking for that product and make it my own and add some value and then sell it. Those were kind of all my hustles through college. I've been doing like many things. But yeah, one of the things that get me going, it was kind of finding that representation of different brands through digital media and trying to get it to the next level. So I was looking at the businesses of people I knew, like small restaurants, like t-shirt companies or whatever. And I was like, hey, there is a digital world going up there and you should get on board. And they were like, I don't know, man, I don't know how to manage a social media page. I don't know how to manage a website. And I was learning all those things by watching entrepreneurs on YouTube and the new upcoming gurus of the digital marketing. And I was like, yeah, let me help you. So I started to help small friends or people who had small businesses kind of for free. The first business was a fitness center. Was located in Hialeah, and my business partner, my actual business partner right now, he was a photographer and filmmaker. So I was like, okay, I got that easy. I got the good production. Now I had to put my brains on creating the brand and adding value to the brand, which is all what I studied. So connecting those two dots and finding my entrepreneurship heart, let's put it that way. We started rock and rolling, and that was the first company that we helped. It was a small fitness center. Then we went to a restaurant. Then we went to a tennis academy. Then we went to a golf academy, a soccer academy, and then slowly we are right now actually to 10 team members. Of course, a great thing that happened to me that I was doing a good job in the admissions office at Lynn, and I got hired by the marketing department right after. And I think one of my good mentors, Jamie Diaria, that was a marketing at Lynn, she kind of pushed me out there and say hey, listen, learn from the different departments of a marketing department, let's say, and learn from everything. You don't know what you love right now. You just experiencing, right? And I think that was great because right now I have the small or little knowledge of every department inside a marketing agency to kind of lead the way for a copywriter, for a graphic designer, for a multimedia director, for a community manager, for a social media specialist, and stuff like that. So right now, I kind of like wear all the hats and try to like lead the team to um, do great things with representing these small businesses that have no knowledge or whatsoever in the digital world.
And this is what the thing that fascinates me so much about you in particular is it always seems like no matter what you're doing and what you're involved in, you're always learning. And I think you seemingly put a big emphasis on that. And where kind of did you pick that up? Was that always something that was in you, this desire to learn, or did you come across that along the way somewhere?
I think that was soccer, man.
Mm.
That was soccer because I when I was a child, when I was young, I was chubby, I was out of shape, I was never the best. I was the worst actually in my class in school playing soccer. And Argentina is a country that if you don't play soccer, you are not going to have friends. It's simple as that. Like you gotta at least play from like the middle to like the best to have friends. It's kind of like weird, awkward, and uh, right now it's shaping a little bit with the music coming up. There is a lot of like trap coming up. So maybe if you're not a soccer player, you sing or something that at least put you with some friend groups. So I was really bad, but all my friends play soccer, even my best friends. So I was like, okay, listen, I need to learn this sport. Like I need to like learn how to play. So I started hustling, hustling, hustling. And I was like, okay, what can I do to at least like get to that level? Okay, I need to run more. So I started to get in shape. I went to nutritionist at like 12, 13 years old because I wanted to like get really in shape. I went to like to extra rounds at the gym and hustle until I at least was at to the level. And kind of funny because I always say this, like in my class in school, I was the worst. When I was, let's say, 8, when I was 15, I was the top in my class. But at the same time, in the club, I was the worst at 13. And I became the top when I was 16, 17. And so that was all like hustling, 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 and trying to like fit in, kind of. Like it was kind of fitting in, but at the same time, I enjoy playing. I enjoy the adrenaline, the going out on a soccer match. Is like there's little times in life that you'll feel what you feel, and I think you will agree with me when you go out on a match, when there's the entire week of expectations, and you're going out to play the game, and there's a little something in you that it's like I don't know, it's such a like it's almost falling in love kind of. So it's like you have all the adrenaline, all the like the butterflies going up, and you're like, okay, after 5 minutes you forget everything, and for 90 minutes, the soccer game is for 9 minutes, your mind is blank. It's nothing in your mind. You're just there, present, and I think taking that to the business world is what make me like the little success I have. It's because of that. Because I tell you, man, there is like nothing special in me in terms of like intelligence or like skillful. Like when I had to sit in a computer and stay hours learning like a new pixel that came out in Facebook, a new course that came out in social media, like something that's new. It's hard for me to like sit here and like kind of like learn the everything, and actually learning in English still sometimes like a little extra hassle for me. So that's kind of like what it takes me to like to do that. It's to come out in the field. Now I call the field social media or like the website or anything, and represent my client, or the way I like to call my partner, the best way possible for someone else to find that partner and say like, okay, I wanted to go to a gym, I wanted to go to a restaurant, and I want they to find my partners. So that's kind of like the way I put it. And yeah, it's that, man. It's
That's so cool. And what I was thinking about when you were talking is you started off playing soccer and building this drive and this kind of this internal motivation to fit in and have friends. And that is interesting to me because I said it comes from like some level of internal motivation, you were also doing it sounding like for external validation. And that can become extremely, extremely tough, whether it's in sports, in the business world, to be driven by external factors. Because this is something that I experienced in my baseball career personally. Was I always wanted to be, and you talk about identity, and I want to dive into that too, is I personally always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. That's what I wanted to do. And the vision that I had for what a great baseball player was never exactly lined up with what I had in my head. And so I would look at myself in the mirror and see like, oh man, like, that my teammate is what I think, or that player is what I think. And I worked hard, I trained, I did everything I thought I could do to get there, but it never really aligned. And what I began to realize from my lowest point, as a baseball player to my highest point as a baseball player, what shifted so dramatically was shifting from this external desire to have external validation to internal validation. And I don't know if it was similar with you, or you kind of coming from the same school of thought or a different school of thought, but can you kind of talk on, how you're driven externally versus internally, or vice versa?
Yeah. So actually, picking on that point. So when I was about to finish college, I was called by the leadership group of tomorrow, and they were like introducing us to like the best companies in Boca Raton, and I was introduced to like there was a company, I don't remember right now the name, but it was like amazing how the technology that they use for medicine was so great. Then I was introduced to the Delray Beach Open, which was a tennis tournament that I actually took the internship with, and I was like going to these fascinating companies. I was like, okay, now I wanna to like fit in on one of these marketing departments, learn my way up, and then someday be a manager or whatever. Like that was kind of like playing in my mind. But like you said, internally I was like not comfortable with that pathway. Um, and I was introduced to a book called Start with Why by Simon Sinek, and I started to read that book on a summer. It was the summer right before my last year, and I was like, okay, this guy is up to something. I think I like what he says. I like the way he puts it, and I was like sharing that with my friends, and that was kind of like completely different at the beginning because I was being denied by everyone. Like, no, man, you gotta make money. Like, who is the most successful between all the friends? The one who's making more money. And I was like, I don't think so. Like, I think that that's not what it is. And of course, like when I was applying to these jobs, because I was kind of like, okay, my friends are saying, if you earn more money, you're gonna be more validated, like you say, like external validation. So I'm gonna apply to the jobs that are actually paying high. Um, I'm gonna, but at the same time, in my mind, I was like, no, listen, like you can do something that you love, and maybe you're not making that enough money right now, but you're gonna be like happy every day. You're gonna wake up every morning, and I started to wake up. This is funny because I was like judged by all my friends. I started to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, like I used to do when I was in high school, studying for my exams because I didn't have time to study in the afternoon because I was training at the soccer team. So I was going to class, soccer training, and then going back home super tired, straight to bed, wake up 5 a.m., study for the exam of the same day, and then go and pass it. And I was successful that way with my exams in high school. So I was like, I'm gonna repeat that routine that I used to do, and I kind of like felt good doing it. Like that, those kind of like morning person, night person. I don't know. I think I was a morning person. So I started to do that, and I started to build that dream in those like 1-2 hours in the morning. Like, okay, what is what I want to do? Like, I started to do like the process of Start with Why. Then actually, after you read the Start with Why, the writer tells you like there is another book called Find Your Why that helps you somehow to find your way. So I started to do that, and actually with another mentor called Jerry Hildebrand, that we both know, and he was like kind of like helping me towards that pathway. Even like my former boss Jamie was like, are you sure you're going to do that? Like, what is that? Like, everybody was asking me, and at that age, I was like 23. I was at least a little, like, I built up some mental toughness to like go against what like others will tell me. And this is something that it's an opportunity to tell like younger kids that like, um, at you're like maybe 18, 19, 20, 21, and you don't have developed that mental toughness at the time, and you feel that pressure. I felt it too, and I fell for that. Like I'm not like a hero that like eventually like did whatever I wanted without like the external validation. No, I went through a process where like I felt bad about myself, like doing what or everybody else was telling me to do. And so coming back to the point, I started to build that up. And once I was like ready, I say, hey, listen, let's do it, and let's do what I think I'm meant to be, which is like to create that visual representation of somebody else to like find inspiration in others. It's not just like representing them in the digital world. It's just like finding that like that representation, that like vision, that like what they are meant to others to be inspired and find them. Let me put it in easy words. Let's say that you own a fitness center and you are like so passionate about it, and you want other people to fall in love with what you do, to like go and having a healthy life, be stronger, be in shape, whatever. So and you don't know how to tell these people. I'm gonna put in digital words what you want to tell them for them to feel inspired and follow what you do. So that's kind of like I find easy to represent these kind of like small businesses that don't know how to be represented. And I think marketing has all the tools, the hard skills to do it. And that's kind of like how I became this person. And I think and I wanted to and I put some notes here is that that I wanted to like talk about. It's like I think being honest, being true to yourself, it's a difference between networking and connecting. Um, all this like this pathway, everybody was telling me you should network. You gotta network. You gotta network with this. You gotta network with that. They introduce you to this person, but I don't think that's the right way. I think you gotta connect with people, because at the end of the day they tell you like it's all about connections, they say. So instead of networking, you should connect with people. And the only way to connect is when you find like true, honest, like interaction with two individuals that have the same values, and that's gonna happen naturally. And I think many times I found myself in like network meetings and trying to like go up to somebody that I knew that had a great company and say like, hey, my name is Matias, can you hire me? And that was never gonna happen. And I was like, oh wow, like why they're not like hiring me? Like they're telling me all these great things about me when I go to college, when I go to my classes. I go to this person and I ask them to hire me, and they don't. Um, and then eventually I connected with somebody that knew somebody, and that happened naturally. That I never forced that, and that's a thing that I think most kids should like um, take. And I suffer from it because I remember like network, and I don't think sometimes that could be like the best word to use.
Mhm.
I think connect is a more like accurate for it. So yeah, so those are kind of like, I don't know if I answer your question. I like to go like all over.
And that's
Uh,
that's what it's all about. No, I love it. You're covering a lot of really really cool things, and I was just taking some notes as you're talking because I want to touch on a few things. But talking about this idea of connection before we get too far off of that, how can you create that connection? Can you go a little bit deeper into that?
mhm.
Because there is, I do agree with you. There is the difference between just networking and that's in my mind just passing out your business card and saying, hey, this is my name. Nice to meet you. And it's very surface level, which
Mhm.
has its time and place. Sure, you can make the argument for that, but I do believe that the real value and real experience and real opportunity does come from that connection. So what does that look like? How does somebody forge those connections in a genuine organic way?
Yeah. Well, this is great because so let me put it this way. I was in the hiring process and I was trying to look for a job. So that put me in a way of like kind of like had to look for somebody. And I think I learned the entire circle when I was in that situation. And it's all about trust. And it's really hard to trust somebody on a first interaction. So I think, first of all, when I was trying to network, I didn't have like a skill that I had developed. And so that was tougher because when, let's say that I was passing my business card and said, hey, what do you do? I didn't have an answer. And I know that's really tough and it's really hard to like, okay, how am I supposed to know something if I just graduate from college? I'm 21 or 20 or 22 and I don't have experience. And they're all the entry-level positions, they're asking for 1 or 2 years of experience. Like that doesn't make any sense. And everybody was in that boat. So I think it's like trying to find the people that like somehow, or maybe when you're looking for jobs, that somehow have a background. Try to like at least do a little research on that person that's in the hiring process or the company that has a little background that relates to you, because eventually you're not gonna learn something specific. You're gonna learn how to work in a team, how to work for a company, how to work in an environment. It's not like you're gonna learn. Let's say that you are like a salesperson. Of course, you're gonna learn how to sell, but it's more important how you learn how to play with a team and how to like sell the product of the company or the service of the company. So in order to do that, they had to trust you. And I think trust here comes into play. Somehow it's like connecting with the company vision or connecting with the owner or the person who is in charge, because that's what's gonna build that relationship and build that connection, and that eventually that person is gonna put you to the right person in the future that you wanted to do. Let's say that you wanted to be in media, you wanted to be like in those like hard positions to get. It's eventually building yourself up, connecting with people. So I think is connecting with somehow something that has a similarity in the background. Let's say that it's from the same country, from the same state, they went to the same college. I think that unfortunately or fortunately, there has to be a background connection between the two person in order to like build that trust right away, and has that gut feeling that okay, he's the right person, she's the right person, we're gonna have this good bonding, and then eventually you're gonna work together, and then eventually cannot happen, and like maybe you thought first impression that that's gonna happen and then not. And but the worst thing that can happen is to fake to be somebody else, and then along the run in like 2 months you hate what you do because you forced all that and it was all fake, and you're just in a position that you had to be like smiling when your head is like burning inside. Uh, and believe me, I think we all been in that position, especially when you commented about like fitting in and trying like to feel identify and to have that external validation. And I know you kind of like knock on the door when you said about you thought about a baseball player to be something, and when you go closer, you saw what was that, and it wasn't what you wanted. So I think and you could have faith and say like, hey, okay, I want to be a baseball player because of all the external validation, the fame, the money, the people, the girls, whatever it is. And then you're gonna be in that position and you're gonna feel miserable and you're not gonna be happy. So I think coming back to your question, I think you gotta find that true honest connection with the person who is hiring, or the company that is hiring, or like wherever you wanted to go. Try to like at least find those things that connects with you and make you feel comfortable from a startup.
Yeah, it's so much, and the more that I do this, from starting to work with like the career center at Lynn, and just the more people I talk to, it's crazy the emphasis that gets put on genuine connection, and not just saying it like as a passive way, or just the buzzwords of networking, connection, meet people, but actually genuinely doing that. And I like how you put it of finding the commonalities within people, because people want to work with people, and That's what it comes down to. And when you have, you're personable, you're nice, you're kind. And I think I keep going back to that word genuine, that really takes you a long way. And I do want to kind of touch on one thing too, that you were mentioning, going back to, the sports world, because I think I'm so grateful, to be able to have played sports. And, I know you have a lot of similar connections because they have so much impact and teach you so much about life, and you can carry that beyond. But that was, the biggest struggle for me of trying to play, professional baseball and going after that external goal. And I knew I wanted to start, I wanted to get drafted, because all that, that would mean that I meant it. And I was having a conversation with Rigo Beltran. You remember? Yep. And,
Yeah.
and so he's one of my closest friends. And, at the time he tells me, he goes, Ben, if the coach said that you were going to start at shortstop every day this season, every game you were going to start, but you batted, below 200, like you sucked, you made, 50 errors, would you be happy? And like my gut, I wanted to be like, yes, because I'd be playing. That's all I wanted. But in reality, like I knew, like, no, I'd be miserable. And that was like the first turning point for me to realize that, okay, it wasn't about starting for me. It wasn't about getting drafted. It wasn't about any of that, because I wouldn't be happy with that if I sucked playing. What it became was trying to become the best version, the best baseball player that I could be, because that was something that I could accomplish and work toward. And the thing that you mentioned is, let's say I get drafted, let's say, I play professionally, you make all this money, you do all these things that you always set out to do, you're going to get there. And that's why I always try to share with people is, you want to be financially free, you want to do this, you want to do that, you will get there. But if that's where you're resting all of your value, what's going to happen when you're there? There's always going to be something next, and it's always going to be just out of reach. And so I think that's why it's so important, going back to the internal versus external, bringing things, back into us, when it comes to that, so we can find that sense of, fulfillment in the things that we do. So.
Well, sorry, because now you touch a point that I would love to like go and express myself about this. And
I know I saw the wheels spinning a little bit, so I wanted
to. No. So as I said, like I love to be an entrepreneur, and everything I do, I like to take it to let's say that brand level, because I'm in love with brands. That's another conversation, but I created a small soccer academy here in the States with two partners that I share the thoughts a lot, like you do with Rigo in baseball. And I think finding those two like teammates or coworkers was amazing, because we kind of could communicate the exact same message to young kids like 8, 9, 10 years old, how to focus on themselves in terms of like competing with themselves. It's what's gonna make them happier. Like I just told you, I was kind of like proud of telling you that I was the worst in my class to become the best, and the worst in my team to become the best. But actually, that took me anywhere. That took me nowhere. Like I was actually happy, because when I got to this point, I was like, okay, now I want to be pro. And if I didn't make it, I was gonna be miserable. And I got like that kind of like depression after you don't make it pro. Let's put it in a way. So I was like, okay, what could have made me more happy if I don't do that? Like, okay, be honest with myself, try to be the best I can every day, and try to like improve myself and compete with myself. And then eventually that's gonna like make you prouder. And we were talking with another friend the other day, and we were looking at how because I was happy because the Copa America, we won the Copa America, Argentina, and Messi was like taking that trophy up and down and being happy in the locker room with their friends. And I was thinking, is there any difference between that and winning an amateur tournament with your friends? And the only difference is the external validation, because the feeling that Messi is feeling in that moment compared to what you do when you raise up the trophy with your friends, I bet is the same. There's no difference whatsoever. The only good thing is that, yeah, the fame, all the people looking up to them and like being represented. Luckily, there are really good examples. Actually, I'm happy that the national team from my country right now, it's a really good example for kids, because in the past there was not that way. Like Messi is a really good example to like to the younger kids. But so that was a really good question. Like when you go to like an amateur game and someone scores, the screaming of that scoring compared to the screaming of the scoring in a filled up stadium, it's kind of the same. So if you kind of like get yourself like a little better than yourself from yesterday, I think that's more like fulfilling than just like compared to your teammates. So what happens when the teammate is more like naturally better, because sports like it's mostly is in the DNA. Then you can help yourself to some point, but the DNA plays a really good amount of the percentage of where you can get. So it was like those two things. Like I'm trying to pass on to little kids to like think about like how they can become better than yesterday, but competing with themselves. Use the external competition to like challenge yourself and feel that emotions that sports gives you, but compete with yourself. Try to be better than yesterday. And comparing the professional atmosphere with the amateur atmosphere and the emotions that creates in people, it's the same. So you picked on that, and actually I wanted to like have my 2 cents there, because I had those thoughts so many times.
Yeah, no, I love bringing. That's why it's called Career Cast. You always throw in your 2 cents there and stuff like that. And this conversation is so fun for me because you're touching on a lot of the thoughts that I have too, but you're putting them in different words, and it helps me continue to learn. And I hope that it helps people out there listening. Because I could say it one way just now, and it may not resonate with them, but you say it a different way, and it really hits home, and that's what it's all about here. So I do want to finish up here. It's about that time with our segment called Cashing Out, where you've already done it throughout this entire episode, but you bring everybody here, leave them with the last most valuable tip. If you could pick just one there, that you can leave the people with, give them a little money for the road to cash out here. So what do you got for us today?
So I think I have two kind of like sentences that I like and that I'm living by right now, and I think is zero expectations, 100% optimism. Sorry, let me repeat it myself because that didn't sound. Zero expectations, 100% optimism. And when I say that is because you kind of like when you put yourself up to a challenge and you think, okay, if I get here, I'm gonna be happy. So you put a lot of hope, expectations in relationships, in work, in anything you do. And when that doesn't happen, you hit a really rock bottom and you hit really down and you don't feel good. And it's like, those are really moments that is tough to come out from. So if you flip that, and instead of being, okay, if I get there, I'm gonna be happy. No, be optimistic about getting there, because you are going to get there. But if you don't, you're gonna learn a lot throughout the way. That was my first. And my second is that like going back to the start with why is like and there is a phrase that I heard somewhere, I don't know why, I don't know where, but is that everybody has two lives and the second one starts when you recognize you only have one. I know we live a life that there is a lot of pressure. Some people don't have the same opportunities than others, and I get that. But once you start doing what you love, or at least, I know it's hard to find what you love, but if you try to do what makes you happy and try to put in your routine day every day and practicing and share with your friends and share with the people you love, that's gonna somehow fulfill you and makes you happier. And that's eventually what the sense of living is, like live a happy life. And I live by those words. So
All right, beautifully put, and the valuable stuff. And I know that's a great way to end the show here with a little bit of cash for the road. So, Matias, man, I really appreciate it, and I know you're going to do great things as you continue to grow and continue to learn. And I'm excited to watch your journey. So, I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate your call, and I'm really. I know. Let me say, send some greetings to Barbara, and I know all the people there in Career Connections, and I love them, and I hope you're gonna be a really key player for them. So, thank you for calling me, and hope you the best.